Horror darling Osgood Perkins is back, but does he have another hit on his hands? Stay tuned to find out.
I think she's a keeper.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Before we get started, do not forget to subscribe down below and hit the thumbs up on the video. Tex, how you doing today, buddy?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. I am excited to get into this because Osgood Perkins, oh boy.
He's back, baby.
Yes, he is back. He is back for sure with Keeper. This is his third film in the span of 2 years, so very quick succession of pumping these things out, and his second fully original one, like because The Monkey was a Stephen King story, I believe, that he adapted and turned into a film. So two horror originals within the span of 2 years. And he's, like you've mentioned, he's become a kind of critical darling with people. People loved Longlegs. People trip themselves of their own long legs for Longlegs. Like they praised it as one of the best horror films of 2024, and people were like, oh, this is the best horror movie of the year, this is the best horror we've ever seen, this is blowing my mind, etc., etc., etc. And when Arturo and I went to check it out ourselves, we have a Morgue review for it. You can find out there our full thoughts on it, but we were like, okay, well, what's the big deal? What was everybody so excited about? And then you got The Monkey, which was like, oh, no one really praised as much on that same level, but it was just another one of those things, like, based off the goodwill of Longlegs, The Monkey was like, oh, was it good? Was it not? You can check out our review on The Monkey to see where we fell on that, but we were kind of like, yeah, it was fine, right? And so Keeper, here is Keeper, another test of that Osgood Perkins style, directorial style. And it's like, yeah, he may not be writing this one, but at the same time, we're definitely finding some kind of characteristics between each of the films we've seen so far. And it's like, well, okay, I guess, right? I guess it's like, no spoilers here at the Morgue. Getting into it, Tatiana Maslany, she stars as a woman named Liz. She's been dating this doctor for a year. His name's Malcolm, and they're going to this cabin that he owns, and and then wild stuff happens. Creepy stuff starts happening. She starts to see things that are around, kooky and creepy and weird things around the house, and it's like, oh, is there something going on in her head? Is there something about the cabin that's weird? Is the doctor involved somehow? There are all these kinds of floating questions throughout the runtime of the movie, that there might be. Is it ghosts? Is it monsters? Is it ghouls? Is it witches? Is it a curse? And there are all these sorts of questions, kind of like Longlegs, where you're like, oh, okay, is it Satan? Is it this? Is it just a guy, who's losing his mind? And that's kind of what Keeper is. There's a lot of that, and then there's there like a history of other women that we keep seeing throughout the film, and like this wild, erratic editing, and it's like, okay, you're giving us a lot here, bud. And this is just like describing the base story, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. Without any spoilers, you're like, yeah, you're giving us a lot here, bud.
I mean, honestly, it's an Osgood Perkins movie. Like Longlegs, it's slow until you get to like the middle of the second and third act. It's the same thing here in this movie. You got to just kind of just sit with it and trudge along straight through, because it's just that slow. And honestly, it's the fault primarily, not entirely the story, because I can say with confidence that I do like this story that we end up getting here from Osgood Perkins more than his other stuff. But getting there was quite the task. And I blame that on the casting, not Tatiana Maslany, she was great, but she was
Right.
asked to do way too much with
Yeah.
her role because the supporting character, Malcolm, he was honestly just, folks, he was straight up terrible. No chemistry. His cadence was off. I don't really know how he was directed to portray this
Yeah.
character, you
Yeah,
know?
I'd be curious to see like what he was told how
Yeah.
he should be. Because the whole thing is like she's been dating him for a year, and there's like, okay, I guess they do love each other. And then there's like this weird tension that's
Yeah.
like you kind of question whether or not it's intentional. And that's I guess it's the point of the movie that you're supposed to question a lot of stuff, but at the same time, like there are no signs that they are actually like in a relationship. Like the two
Yeah.
of them, these two lead actors have like zero chemistry with one another, like just zero, romantic or otherwise. Just like on screen, you're just like you don't buy them as a couple, which is kind of
No.
like it kind of ruins your setup for the movie, right? Like it
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
look at
like
her just in this picture, folks. If you're watching on YouTube right now, it's this picture here. She looks awfully, awfully miserable, and that's because of her co-star, who does a terrible job with his role, and I think completely brings down her this really good performance she gives here because she's tasked to do a lot, and I think she is successful. That is the only reason I'm able to kind of sit through this really sluggish start to the movie. All that said, honestly, like, I'm kind of glad she's tasked to do a lot because if we had to depend on him, like, this would have been absolutely terrible. And we do get to spend a lot of time with Liz and her character as she begins to unfold the mystery of this cabin, of this Malcolm person. But as Tex mentioned, they're supposed to be dating for a year, but they just look like they hooked up on Tinder overnight or something.
yeah,
There's like
because
no real chemistry there. And that really, really affects the entire movie, honestly.
yeah, because without getting too deep into spoilers, like there's a hint that this is supposed to be intentional. That because she's like, oh, maybe he's hiding a secret marriage, and there's still stuff that she's questioning about him. So there's a sense that okay, this is supposed to feel intentional, that they just don't connect on any level, and you don't buy their relationship on screen for a second. But then like Arturo was saying, without that, it really puts so much weight on Tatiana Maslany's shoulders that it's almost unfair. And it's almost like, yeah, like yes, she has to hold, like, a lot of the movie is like her figuring out whether or not it's in her head, her figuring out what's going on. And then, you get to the explanation, and it's like, okay, is that successful or not? I don't know. And it's just a lot that needs to be on her shoulders. And it's ultimately, like Arturo said, the story is interesting, but it's not entirely compelling. That's the thing. There's
Yeah.
a difference between interest and compel, right? There's an
Yes.
interest between there's a difference between like watching a movie and being like, well, this is an interesting story that they're laying out, and
Yeah.
watching
It's
a movie
because
and
of
being
the
like,
build.
yes, yes,
Like the build to that reveal and to the payoff is awful. There's
yeah,
barely any, and you just want to have something because you do get this interesting ambiance throughout the movie that is very eerie, but they don't really capitalize on that feeling. And that's where the downfall comes in terms of watching this all through up until the last, like, 15, 20 minutes of the movie, that there is no real suspense being built there, but there is an eeriness that they do successfully cap over the entire movie. And that's why I wish that they did have a little bit more, because you already accomplished having that creepy environment. Let's kind of, give us a little bit more action, a little bit more oomph. That it was
yeah,
not really
like
that.
yeah, like compare that to Long Legs, right? Like Long Legs, you and I didn't like it, but if you look at the build of Long Legs and you look at like the tension, right?
Yeah.
And you can I will even give it credit for that. Like you're like,
Yes.
oh, okay, it's building to something here.
Mhm.
And you get the Nicolas Cage moment that they was teasing throughout all the trailers. When it happens, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, here's a turning point. And here we're going to go into the rest of the film and see what the rest of this mystery, what the rest of this tension is, right? compare that to Keeper, where you don't really get those moments. You don't get like a big moment in the middle where you're like, oh, okay, here's a turning point. It's all clumped in the third act, and it's like, okay, it really depends on how creepy and unsettling you find the rest of the film, the rest of the lead up, and it's not like if
It's
you have
none. It's none, Mo
yeah,
Black Tex. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because,
like
but that's because, again, that's because of Malcolm. Like,
yeah,
Malcolm doesn't exude creepiness. He doesn't exude sexiness. He doesn't exude anything. He just kind of
yeah,
falls completely flat, dude. It's really disappointing because that character, yes, he doesn't have a lot in terms of, like, screen presence and, like, not screen presence, but screen time.
yeah,
But he needed to have that screen presence when he was on screen, and you
yeah,
lost that completely.
yeah. You needed to, like, in order to be unsettled by
Mhm.
something, you need to be
Yes.
settled in at first, right?
Especially with the reveal, right, Tex?
Yes, yes,
exactly like you said, in order to be unsettled by conversations he's having and things that pop up throughout the movie, you need to have that ability to connect with that
yeah.
character, you
You
know?
need a comparison point. You need a
Mhm.
place where you can like watch the movie and you're like, oh, everyday life, because
Yeah.
that's horror, right? Like
Yes.
horror, it's supposed to lull you into these things, and part of the lull is giving you that safe place at first, right? You're supposed to be like, this is a happy couple. You're supposed to buy into
Yes,
happy
exactly.
couple going to just a friendly cabin in the woods, right? Like the strangers, right? They're just a
Yes.
happy couple going to just a whatever cabin in the woods.
Strangers Chapter 1 to be exact,
Yes,
not the
yes.
original one.
But yeah, but you're supposed to get that, right? And in here
Yes.
you don't,
None of it.
because it's quote unquote creepy from the
Even the
beginning.
ride up to the cabin, right, Tex? Like, when they're
Yeah,
in the
it was
car, you're like, "What is this, like, tension here in this
yeah,
movie?"
there's
They're supposed to be going up for a romantic weekend here, and it just seems like they don't know each other at all. She obviously
yeah.
can't trust him just by the way she kind of, is around him. That, again, is a chemistry thing.
Yeah, it's just, and you wonder if that's, once again, if that's intentional, because
Great
there's
point.
dialogue in the movie arguing that, oh, is she uncomfortable in this situation? Is she like, because she has a kind of past that's alluded to. It's like, oh, is this a relationship that she's jumping into for the first real time and all that stuff? But at the same time, like there's just nothing to latch onto in terms of that steadiness. There's no steadiness. There's just constant ook and ooka booka stuff. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool and all. And when you get to the finale, yes, like compared to Longlegs, once again, like Longlegs has a finale that's kind of a fart. And you're like, oh, okay,
It
it's this
does,
artist.
yeah.
You're like, this is an artistic, like, kind of ending that, like, oh, okay, did she really take care of the problem? And in here, when you get to it, it's the opposite of a fart. It's like a very loud fart in terms of just like, yo,
It's a
you're
shart.
yeah, you're getting the substance with the fart, right? You're like,
Yeah,
this is what's happening, and
but
it goes
but
full for it, and you're like,
but
yeah,
Tex, like a shard, it's disappointing because that's the last thing you want. It's like, this is too little, too late. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you're like, yo, now I gotta go, like, just to keep with the gross metaphor. It's like, okay, cool, you gave me that, but it's like, oh, this is what you want me to sit with. It's like, this is the last image of the movie that we're getting, and it's like, cool that we got all that, and like it's interesting and it's wild enough to where you're like, in that moment, you're like, oh, but then in retrospect, right? Like it's like when you think about the movie as a whole, you're like, yo, what? Why was it just in those last few
Yeah.
minutes, right? Like, why was it all contained to that
Yeah,
final
because I
act?
think it was totally yeah, dude, you're absolutely right. Because I definitely think it was totally possible to sprinkle some of that cool stuff in throughout the movie. Like, you do get little bits and pieces here, like, of like, oh, did I just see that? Well, what happened there? I wish they would have kind of just dug in, because the story itself was so interesting that I would have been like, you know what, dude, dig in and just tell me more about this,
Yeah,
because that
because
was the most interesting part of the movie was the
Yeah,
last
because
like 20 minutes.
yeah, and there is a part in there that could be argued that is the turning point that I was arguing for, but it's like you see it happen to this character that you don't care about, and you're like, oh, okay, like cool, like it's cool to know that there's a thing going on.
Yes, yeah,
It's
I'm glad it's not
confirmation that
Babadook, you know what I mean? Where,
yes,
it's
yes,
some emotional monster, you know?
and that's the thing. You get the confirmation that stuff's going on fairly early, and
Yeah.
then it goes back to the Ukabuka stuff. Like, it's like it goes back to the spirit stuff, and it's like, oh, what is going on? And then when you finally get it, that's this is what stings the most about this movie or so. It's like you get the stuff, you're like, yo, that's super awesome, and
Mhm.
that's super cool, and it's like cool idea and cool aesthetically and
Yes.
cool stuff happening,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, this is just cool stuff. And then once again, it's like, why did you make me wait for this cool stuff? Why was the rest of the movie so like it just
Yeah.
felt so dread, like it just felt like such a drudge. Like you're like,
It
yo, this
dragged,
is
dude, because it did. It really
it
dragged a
really
lot,
did.
man. That again is Osgood Perkins, right? The same thing happened in Longlegs. It happened
Yeah,
in the monkey too. Like the
there's
monkey
just
had a
some,
lot more action and a lot more going on, but even the monkey had a point in it where it's like, what's going on? Why are we not progressing right
you
now?
know,
You know?
it is funny that Keeper has kind of the opposite problem that like Longlegs and Monkey do, because Longlegs and Monkey, they have interesting first acts and interesting ish second acts, but then by the final act, you're like, oh, this is kind of a letdown. You're like,
Yeah.
but in this one, it's the opposite. Like the opening, like the first 2/3 of the movie, you're like, oh, this is a letdown. I wish I could look at my phone, you know. It's like like I maybe I should go take a bathroom break or something. And then the third act happens. You're like, whoa, okay, this is interesting. But once again, Arturo, it goes back to being interested versus being compelled. There's a difference between liking something happening on screen
Yeah.
and then wondering what's happening next. There is a
Yeah.
clear and defining difference, right?
Absolutely.
And in here, it's just kind of like, cool, man.
Yeah, and again, that is Osgood Perkins. And as Tex mentioned in the beginning of the show, this is his third movie, but his second original. I'm hoping his third original, he's learned some lessons. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like
just give me something solid from point A to point C. You know what I mean?
yeah, like he didn't write Keeper, so maybe that's the thing. It's like, okay, like maybe he has to return to a whole writing and
Yeah,
directing
his own
kind of
writing,
thing from
directing thing, right? Yeah, but
yeah,
even
like
then, as a director, you have a stamp on this, on this material. And he has a stamp on this for sure. So
yeah,
why
yeah,
not kind of,
it's
make it
you're
pop a
right.
little more, because he
You're
does
right.
have that whimsical horror to him where it's like, hey, where is this here? Like, where is the point where you're like, let me grab the audience's attention because I know they're falling asleep with the
You're
script. You know what I mean?
you're very right, because like films like The Monkey have shown that he has a clear eye for just kooky horror, right? Like it's very, it's not camp, like it's not at the level of
It's
camp, and
no,
it's
it's
not
not
at the
camp.
level of B. Like
It's interesting, you know what I mean? It's
yes,
interesting
yes,
horror and to the point where it keeps your attention in the movie. He's really
yeah,
good at that. I have to give him credit. Like he
yeah,
does these things where the story might be a little boring, but he's able to kind of keep your attention by these explosive moments throughout the
yeah.
movie. And
It's
and here,
exactly why people
yeah,
give Longlegs too much credit, right? Like it's like,
yes,
yo, we give him credit, but he gets way too much credit for
yeah,
Longlegs, because
yeah,
it's like, where what was the payoff? And no, like the payoff was a fart. But in Keeper, the one thing like we will keep saying is like, no, there is a payoff. Like it's like that's the thing, right? You might not have been interested in the build, but there is a payoff. Okay, this is a perfect time to introduce the rating system here, Arturo. So the way we do things here at the Morgue, it's pay for it, which is go out to the theaters and see it, see it on VOD, immediately see it as soon as you are able to. That is like urgency. I think that's what we really want to stamp with pay for it. Wait for it is less urgent version of like,
mhm,
okay, you can wait for it to hit streaming. You can wait for it to hit VOD. You can wait for it to hit Netflix or something or on
yeah,
TV. Wait for it to when it's convenient for you. You would not miss out on anything. Stay away from it is self-explanatory. You just don't need to bother. Save yourself the money, the trouble, the time, and just watch something else. So,
Yes.
Arturo, on a scale of pay for it, wait for it, to stay away from it, what say you with Keeper?
Man, this one barely made it into the wait for it territory. Because you just have to spend so much time with these characters that you really don't find interesting or can connect with. I'm just glad that the end happens. So there is still hope for Osgood Perkins, folks. But this one for me is a total wait for it. Just wait till it drops. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't drop it in October or something. This would have been like perfect Halloween stuff.
Yeah, we
Dropping it in
needed
November
something.
is like, what are we doing here, folks?
Yeah, we needed something in October too. Like we were
Yeah,
desperate
big
for
time.
like some kind of like horror
Big
movie.
time.
Like
Absolutely.
thankfully we got like Black Phone and stuff, but it's like no, this would have been a solid Halloween watch.
An
A
interesting
little
Halloween watch because it's different. It would have been,
yeah,
like a different kind of entry there. Tex, what do you think about
yeah.
this one?
So I think I'm in the same spot with you, Arturo. I'm also in the wait for it territory because it's not something I want to write off completely. Because that's the thing. Like for as much as we have our issues with Perkins as the director and how he turns to how he chooses to pace things and edit and like the way he chooses to tell the story, he's definitely got an eye. That's the thing. Like they're like if you love like horror artsy visuals, there are
Yeah.
a lot of that in here. There's a lot of moments where you're like, oh, okay, like that's a cool thing. That's a cool idea. That's like a genuinely interesting idea. And especially when you get to that third act, it's that third act is like, yo, this is the make or break. And for me, it did make it, but not in a sense to where like go see it immediately in theaters because of that third act. It's like, no, you watch it at home. Like watch it, look it on Facebook when it eventually like the pictures of whatever thing happens at the end make it to like Twitter or something, and people share clips of it online. Like that's when you could honestly, that's when you can watch it. You
Yeah.
just see what the reveal is, see how cool it is, or whatever, and you're like, okay. And then you get what you get with Keeper.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. At least something interesting happened in this movie.
Yeah,
And you know what, Perkins? I'll give you a mulligan. Just keep going.
yeah. I
Let me
mean,
see something you write and direct,
yeah,
and then
like
we'll see what happens.
dude is making it right. So that's the thing. Like, for as much as you and I have like kind of bashed on the work so far, there are positives and negatives, and at the same time, it's like, yo, you're giving us these movies, you're making these originals, so like keep
Yep.
doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what he's got next, but that's the thing. Like Arturo said, like maybe just focus on a written directed work, maybe take some time. Yeah, they're lesser budget. You can make them churn them out faster, but hey, like it's okay to take like a year to like tweak it, right? Like it's okay to like kind of if Keeper would have come out in 2026 and like maybe been a bit tighter, we would have been like, yo, this is a great movie, but this is what we got. Yeah.
This is what we got, folks. And thank you so much for listening. This is The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And I am your host, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out to Delvirus for our awesome logo, and a big shout out to you guys for listening. Do not forget, we have all these episodes still in podcast form, and we have the episodes here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share on all the socials. And always remember, it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.